Bob gets nothing effect. Has that one taken away by Troy Hellman. It seems like this could be.
Hello and welcome to the Overwatch League Recap, a talk show focusing on the Overwatch League. I am BlazzinBob and I have changed my mic setup back. Sorry to you all who complained about my mic being weird the last 2 weeks. I was trying some new stuff out. I apologize. It has been corrected. So I'm just going to have to live with the mic blocking my face. It drives me nuts. But that being said, I'm joined this week by, let's go with Mel first. Mel, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good.
Just good or fantastic?
Yeah. Just good. It's Monday.
Just good? Well, okay. So you do have something pretty exciting to talk about. I mean, we did run into somebody in real life that's a Blizzard person in our daily lives. We went to see a Colorado Rapids game, and none other but James Richards was there, Blizzard dev, and we got to talk to him about the release of WoW Classic, and we got to do some soccer fight songs or football fight songs with him. We got to buy him a beer. We had a really good time.
Fight songs like chants.
Yeah, okay, so like at the soccer game, like they have all these different songs, and so
I think Andres knows that. They're just not called fight songs, I don't think.
Are they not called fight songs? No?
I don't know. Maybe it's what they call it. That's pretty cool. Actually, if that's the name.
I don't know. Everything I know about European football, I learned from Green Street Hooligans. So it's all I know.
Wow. He was like the total like European football fan too. Like in my eyes, like just like chanting like hardcore and was like, yes.
Oi, 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 oi.
Right?
Nice.
It was fun. It was really, really, really nice. Which was like,
oh yeah. It's refreshing to meet somebody like that that's so big in your eyes, but doesn't treats you just like one of the other Joes. I mean, it was a real treat to get to meet him. I can't wait to hang out with him at BlizzCon, and yeah.
We should hit him up for press passes. Missed opportunity.
Oh yeah, true. Probably. Yeah. Press passes for BlizzCon are few and far between, especially for podcasters. That's it's not something you can normally get. But we are getting sidetracked. iplaigames, aka Andres. What's going on, sir? Georgia Peach.
Oh man, it was a long weekend, I will say. It started off really, really well, and then it was a kind of a bummer towards the end. But Lana's still in the race, and it was still really cool. I got a lot of stories from the game on Friday. I went to watch it at Battle and Brew in the local gaming bar over here, and man, that was intense. Like
Did
we
you
almost
have a watch
broke
party
down the
for
place.
Saturday too?
Yeah, for Sunday.
Or for Sunday?
Yeah, they had a watch party for Sunday too. I wasn't able to go to that one because I was busy doing a bunch of stuff. But the Friday one was crazy, especially because
I bet
of the nature of the match as well.
Oh
and
yeah, we're definitely going to talk about it.
I don't know if you guys noticed that the Twitch, the stream went down for a little bit. It kind of froze, and it would not like play. But other outlets were like untouched. So
yeah,
in the
we had
middle
that
of the
happen
game,
to us a couple times.
yeah, in the middle of the game, like it goes down, and it's one of the most intense moments in the match. And
Of course.
everyone just flips out. Everyone's just like, "Whoa, what is going on?" And like the guy at Battle and Brew is like refreshing Twitch frenetically, trying to like get it to work. And this one dude,
Trying
frantically
to calm all the people in the crowd.
I know, but this one dude, he pulls out his phone and he's playing like one of the other broadcasts. I don't know which one, but he was playing, he was working, and he puts his phone in the middle, and it's like 50 people all just huddled over this little iPhone, just trying to watch what was happening.
Trying to watch it on the app.
That was
Did
like
you at least have the like
magnitude of it.
X? Do you at least have like the bigger iPhone?
No, it was a small one.
Oh
It didn't
man.
matter. Everyone was just like, we need to know what's happening.
Dude, when you just said frenetically there, it reminded me of the tip of the sphere, which is something you guys have to check out the latest episode of Omnic Lab.
Oh my god. We're
Andres
backwards.
kept trying to say the tip of the spear, but kept saying the tip of the sphere, and then Rob ran with it, and I mean made it hilarious because he goes, "Well, that's Hammond. Hammond's the tip of the sphere because he's a sphere." It was so good. You guys definitely have to check out that episode of Omnic Lab. But we are going to get into it. We did have, like, I was a little lackluster about like last week's games, but this recent week, man, the games were good. There were a lot of good games. We'll get into talk about them in a second. But first, we need to start the show by thanking our recap producer, Shazir. Thank you so much for everything you do. Also, something on the Patreon. I didn't feel that our episode last week was up to snuff, so we did not charge any Patreons for last week's episode. So it's a freebie, but we're charging for this one.
Sucked doesn't mean
Yes.
that we all sucked.
Yeah, you guys definitely did, but I definitely sucked. My mind was like wow, classic, and like literally it was all I could think about during the episode. So I just didn't feel comfortable charging for it. So we did not charge for it. But
I was just kidding.
moving into league news. The MVP and Rookie of the Year have been announced. The MVP was Sinatra. That was done by mostly votes on Twitch. Sinatra won it by a landslide. The Rookie of the Year was Hawk Saul, which is pretty cool, especially since he went kind of under the radar, playing the best Brig in the Overwatch League stages 1 through 3, and it's kind of hard for any viewer or even the casters to really tell if a Brig's doing a good job live. You know, it's kind of something you have to look back and see if they got the stuns correct, see if they did them at the right time, see if they didn't, you know, overextend like Jake always did on
Why you
on
gotta throw
Brig.
Jake under the bus?
Dude, because he was one of the worst
Unfair.
Brigs in the league. I love Jake, but I mean, like, you just
Listen,
facts
he
are
worked on
facts.
his bracer all off season,
It's
and then he had
true.
to come in and play Brig. It's
Yeah.
like, what happened?
Yeah, stage 4, his DPS looked good, but I mean, I'd say over half of the league had Brigitas that just weren't up to snuff. Even EQO, somebody who I touted season 1 as the best DPS in the league, didn't really live up to it, you know. And so Brig was a very hard thing for a lot of the DPS to swallow. But I'm getting off track. What do you guys think about Sinatra getting the MVP?
I mean, I guess it's fine. He probably was the best Zarya in Goats meta,
Definitely.
but then he was benched. But now he's kind of back, so it's like
Was he really
just
benched
had to
though?
maybe. Okay, so yeah,
He played at least one map in every match, and he
yeah.
played
I think
well.
that was like, I think that was like, hey, let's keep our MVP candidate happy for the
But-
meantime while he works on his Doom.
but
no, I
he
really
played
do
well
think
though.
it was- I mean,
Tell
okay.
me one game in stage 4 he did not play well.
I just don't think he shined like an MVP would have shined. But I do think
I remember
that
his
with-
freaking 5K on the Dallas Fuel on what's it, Temple of Anubis. Yeah, I remember that. I
Right,
remember
that's like
shining.
scoring 50 points on the Browns. Like, I mean, you know, it happens. Like, anybody can do it. It's like when your fantasy lineup's there, you put them in, right? It's like, oh, they're playing the Browns. Oh, they're playing the Fuel. We're going to put them in.
Oh,
Hey,
that
it
hurts. That
happens.
hurts, Mel. It hurts.
I'm
It hurts.
sorry. I'm sorry. But I do think that he has proven that he came in, he did a great Zarya, and then he has been able to transition to DPS as well, right? I think that's where we've seen kind of the difference between him. And I know the MVP was pretty much based on his Zarya, right? But from my point of view, I
Was
feel
it though?
like
It was based on fan vote. I mean, the majority of it was based on fan vote. So you're
Right, but
saying
they
that the
started
fans
voting
voted
before-
because of Zarya.
well, I'm saying people started voting before stage 4, right? And so it was like you've seen 3 stages of him being dominant.
Yeah.
And then stage 4, he's not as dominant, but I think he really has pulled it around now. So I am happy for him. I think he's grown a lot. I hope this doesn't go to his head and he,
In
takes
his
25 steps back.
Yeah,
But
in his speech, it didn't seem like it went to his head. He even called himself out and said, "Last year, I was an immature little, like, I forget the word he used, but he basically said little
what?
pipsqueak, like like cocky jerk is basically
Little
is
brat.
yeah, is basically what he said. And I mean I do agree. What I've seen from him in comms and everything, he really has grown a lot as a man. And so you have to respect that. And this is coming from the guy that attacked him on Twitter, like last year, like the guy that really has not been a Sinatra supporter. I have to give him credit where credit is due.
I
I
think that
just
he's
feel like
matured a
you have
lot.
to continue. You have to continue this though
Definitely,
before I'm
definitely.
going to give you credit. Go ahead, Andre.
And I think that it's been cool seeing his transition into this kind of like new self, because he used to be like the tracer main, right? Like, I'm gonna play tracer, I'm gonna carry my team. This is what I'm gonna do, and he was really good at it. But
Well, and
I
he made
think
a lot of mistakes doing it too. Like he used to basically try and do everything. That's what happened in the World Cup last year. Like he has even admitted that he fed because he was trying to do it all. And sorry, but you go ahead.
he met his match with Sabiobi and he got his ass whooped. And I think it's been like lessons that he has picked up, and I think he's had some really great coaching. And whoever has been talking
Crusty.
to him has been really, and not only Krusty. I think that Shock San Francisco in general, whoever has kind of been mentoring him, because Krusty came in later, right? Like, this progression has happened even earlier than Krusty. Um, has been doing a really good job, and he's been so versatile because he's taking those mechanics that he's been able to learn and practice, and he has, and while dropping his ego, he's been able to seamlessly transition to Zarya. Then now he's transitioned very easily into Doomfist, and he has such a wide range of heroes that he's playing at the top level. Because I'm sure some of it has to do with stats too. If you look at his stats on Zarya, he was like top 3 in all of the league, with number 1 in a lot of the
Yeah,
stats.
top one in almost everything.
And then if you look at his Doomfist, it's sort of the same thing right now. Um, and when you have a player of that caliber that is just able to stay at number 1 spot consistently with his team, he is elevating the play of his team. There's a player you can count on, and now he's a team player as well. So I don't know, his talent has grown exponentially. It's one of the reasons why Shock is considered one of the strongest, if not the strongest team right now. So
And I'm glad
I'll give
you
it to him.
I'm glad you bring up the other coaching staff because, like, now that you mention it, I remember Baby Bay telling us about how much the coaching staff at Shock helped him grow too. He was telling us when we were talking to him in Atlanta, and so we didn't get names, but it must be more than just Krusty because he would have said Krusty. He said the coaching staff.
I
So
do
Right.
there's
remember the
unsung
first
heroes.
when we were doing interviews, and one of the first interviews that we did when you did like Taimu, and I was interviewing Baby Bay with Aydmaro, like OG
I did
Owl recap.
Harry Hook.
Oh yeah, Harry Hook.
Taimu
Taimu
was
just
in the
walked in at the
room.
end.
Yeah, that was my very
Yeah, yeah.
first Al interview. It stays
But I
close to
remember
my heart.
when Baby Bay walked in, the GM was there, and a couple other guys of the crew were there, like supporting him and like being very like
And that was when Krusty was
almost like Big
on Boston.
Brother-ish. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
like a long time ago when
stage one
Shock was
finals.
just starting. So they look like they're very hands-on, a very hands-on
Yeah.
team.
How much of it do you think, though, like Sinatra being able to not seamlessly, but transition from Zarya to picking up Doomfist and really doing well in that? How much of that do you think is because of the number of Rockstar DPS players they have on their team? And if you don't grind it and learn it, you're going to lose it right? And then who knows when you're going to get another chance to show that you've got it, right? Even if you lose your starting spot for 2 weeks, right? Because you're learning a new hero, but somebody else picked it up and they're doing well and the team's winning, so you're not going to get a chance again until that changes, right? Like,
well, you would think that they, with that amount of DPS, you would think that they're like, listen, this, like, you would think that the coaches would talk to the players and be like, what do you guys like? And then be like, all right, you like Doom? Grind Doom. Oh, okay. You like, you know, what, trying to think of May. You know, she came in. Like, you like May? All right, you grind May. And then they do have those tools instead of on teams where you've got 2 or 3 DPS and they have to grind everything. You know what I mean?
See,
like, I think it's
but
kind of a plus.
I feel like it's not as cut and dry like that though. It's like when you think of football, it's like, okay, well you can play this position and after the play we'll just swap you out and put in the other guy who can play the other position, right? But that's not how it is in Overwatch. It's like there's a lot of maps where you have to play Doom and May, or you have to play Pharah and Doom and Reaper, right? So specializing is
And
almost
Reaper is definitely a
hindering.
very, very hard character to play, of course.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
almost
I'm
hindering
kidding.
people.
Call me out.
I'm just saying.
Well, I see it a little bit differently though. I feel like players like Sinatra are becoming like super players where it's less about the hero that they're playing and it's more about the style and their strengths in general as a player. Like Sinatra, to me, he doesn't strike me as a raw aim player. Like you don't see him playing like Widowmaker or Ash or
All aim,
McCree.
no brain.
But see, and like I would say Sinatra is aim, but he definitely has a big brain. We saw many times where he did Zarya grabs stage 1 through 3 that were 5 head plays. I mean, they were just like out of the box thinking
Exactly.
and
Did you just say
smart.
5 head?
I did. I've been watching too much Tim the
Alright.
Tap Man stream, and he's been recently
Just
using
checking.
5 head.
My point is that Sinatra, I think that his biggest strength is huge mechanical control in the sense that he's very precise with his movements and positioning. He's very good at narrowing down on his victim, and like if you watch him move and displace himself, he's so accurate with all of his moves, even like turning around, turning to the side, keeping up with his target. Everything is so polished in that aspect, so he's not relying on like micro aim like somebody like Carpe
Like Bird
or
Ring.
what is his teammate like Striker, right? Like Striker is like a raw aim hero, and you have him on those heroes like Tracer, Reaper, Widowmaker, right? But then you have Sinatra
Did you
on
just
the
call
roles that
Reaper a raw aim hero?
yeah, I
I
mean
would like a correction. It's a in your face. Like, dude, I played Reaper and got mid diamond place. Like, Reaper's not hard to play.
but Reaper requires for you to be at a very specific range, keep up of that range, and then be very precise with your hits. Like
True. If you
sure,
want to
the
watch a
playstyle
fantastic Reaper, sure for.
the playstyle of
Probably
Reaper
the
is
best.
not like super hard to get into, but the difference between somebody who's starting in Reaper and like a real Reaper can take out 3 to 4 people in one clip by movement
Right.
and positioning. In average
I
Reaper,
think
yeah,
it's
I can get in the backline and stuff. But sorry, let me finish this
no.
point.
Go ahead.
My point with him is that he's amazing at movement. So you have him on Doomfist, you have him on Zarya, which are heroes that like really can capitalize on somebody who knows how to place themselves. And he's really good at timing all these like abilities and how long it'll take him for him to get to this place because of that tracer kind of like mentality that he's had. So he's really good at calculating all this stuff. And as long as a hero relies on those strengths, he'll thrive. And that's what was
Yeah.
amazing about him right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Reaper, like people going to play Reaper is similar to like Lucio's going to play Mercy, right? Where it's not like Mercy was harder or Reaper's harder, but it's so different than any other player in the game that it's harder to transition to,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's just not what I'm used to. I'm not used to being up in their face like this or using these
counting.
cooldowns or
Yes. Okay. So like we're talking to Drunken Muck, who was nice enough to take us to the Colorado Rapids game this weekend, and he's a DPS, and he's on a like a tier C team. And so he was telling us that it's been so hard for him to take up Reaper because he was playing Widow, he was playing Ashe, he was playing McCree, he was playing all these like hit scan heroes. And one thing I told him, I was like, well, the biggest things are is just don't even shoot from range. Like you need to get close, period. Walk through the person you are going up against, do a 180, shoot a couple times, walk through them again, do a 180, like just keep them turning and not being able to shoot you. And then with your death blossom, never plan it out. Go when it makes sense. Like McCree and Hog just used their flash and their hook. Now is the time to do it. Like you have to kind of watch cooldowns, and he was saying he never really had to watch those types of cooldowns on the characters he was playing before, and so that might be a little bit something different. It's like second nature to me because I've played 250 hours of Reaper in competitive, but I guess the majority of people haven't. So it is definitely a different hero, but I think it's an easier hero to play. I really do, mechanically. Mel, you're muted.
Well, like get easy to get into hero, but the ceiling does go quite high, especially with his new teleport that has been changed.
Which is
you
awesome
can actually
now.
do some really amazing plays with that, and some like really like thought out plays. I don't know. So
Yeah, you can get to the
there's a reason
back
why
line and
Reaper
actually use
being
it.
like used right now a lot.
It was very
Yeah.
similar to Mercy, though. Mercy was definitely easier mechanically to play than all the other healers that people were playing, right? But you saw so many people fail. Like, I hate to bring it up again, but Dak, how many times did you die, right? Like,
Leave Dak alone. Leave him alone.
I mean, come on.
All
You're
right.
never going to live
He's
that one down.
kicking
I'm
the
going
man
to
while it's
reel us
down.
back in here. So, Haxel got Rookie of the Year. The Rookie of the Year is kind of a weird thing because half the league was
He ain't really a
rookies this
rookie.
year.
He's been playing competitively for years now.
But yeah,
Right.
he's been playing competitively in the quote unquote college scene, not
Right.
the big leagues. You know what I mean?
I mean,
So-
what I'll say about this is that I think Haxel definitely proved himself to be one of the best Brigitas. The problem is that
and a really
he
good
had, well, 100%. He like outshined himself when we went to stage 4 and he played Genji, right? But that only lasted a couple weeks and people figured that out kind of, and he couldn't play Genji anymore. But I think the biggest thing about Haxel is that he had an advantage going in as a rookie because he went in as a rookie with a team. And GOATS was a lot about communication and a lot about, working together. And they already worked together well, right? So he was at the point of GOATS where he was just perfecting his craft on Brigitte, whereas everybody else had somebody on Brig that was like, I don't want to play Brig. I want to play Tracer. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I mean, I think that he definitely deserves it. He definitely like outshined everybody else in the Brigitte role and then came in and came out strong on DPS. But I just feel like he had this advantage coming in.
I can see
You have a good
Haxel
point.
being the rookie of the year, but I don't know. I would like to see somebody like well, I'm blanking on his name right now. Washington Justice Corey.
Okay, but Corey can't be rookie of the year. He can be rookie of stage 4.
Yeah. But okay, so Mel made a good point that I wanted to just kind of like top onto. If we did this right, it probably just should have been the Vancouver Titans Rookie of the Year. Every single one of them was a rookie. And the NFL has done that before, where they've given a defense an award that usually goes to one person. I think the Vancouver Titans deserved Rookie of the Year. I think that
Yeah,
should have been it.
they take Overwatch League by storm.
By
Like nobody
storm.
expected it. It was like, oh, okay, the new boss in town. They established dominance very early on, and they're still very scary. Like, for all we know, they could still win this thing.
Yep. All right. Well, let's. That actually went along a lot longer than I thought it was gonna for the MVP and the rookie, but it was good. But let's go ahead and move into team news. Boston Uprising signed Mineral as their new head coach. Now, Mineral hasn't worked the entire year, um, and so I've been watching his content. He's got very educational content, and I think this is actually a really good move.
I'm gonna say this is just based on figments of my imagination, but here's how I pictured this went. Huck and Krusty didn't get along. Huck established dominance because he's an outspoken, kind of like, I'm going to take no shits kind of guy. So Krusty was kind of like, not being able to do much over there. Eventually, Huck is able to get Krusty out. Krusty, of course, gets picked up by San Francisco Shock immediately, and he finally can unleash his true genius. While back at
Well,
Boston
okay, I
Uprising,
think I would make a statement that he unleashed his true genius in season one, stage 3, where Boston went undefeated. Back when you played
true,
10
Krusty was
games
like
in a stage.
When they
sprinkling
lost,
sprinkling his
he
genius
was
in there, but he was a contained genius because he couldn't unleash totally. He didn't have total control.
Oh, and Mel was about to
But
bring up he who should not be named.
but now that Krusty's gone, the cracks are showing on Boston, and it seems like Huck was not able to keep up. And everybody noticed, including management, and now we have some changes going on. And this is just how I imagined the story going. It could have been completely different.
Well, and it seems like Huck is a really good GM. We've seen much talent be brought in, but maybe he's not the best coach. I mean, he is definitely. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I've never actually had a conversation with him, like face to face, but he seems very abrasive, and it seems like a lot of players don't really
Respond too well to
yeah,
that.
respond too well to it. Like I would personally, if that was my coach, like I would just want to prove them wrong. Like those were the most effective coaches for me. But some of the players in the league seem a little bit more tender. So, like maybe a little, little soft touch is needed. And I think Mineral brings that. He is extremely smart, and I've enjoyed much of his content. So I think this is definitely a good push. But Mel, you haven't really chimed in about it too much. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess Mineral's legacy is the Florida Mayhem. And I don't know if you could really talk too highly of how they've done either season. And granted, he was let go before stage 2 this year. So, whatever. But I guess we've also heard from people like Bare Hands and things like that saying they didn't have a lot of control over the roster and, different things. So I hope the best for Mineral. And I hope that he can give Fusions a little bit of a boost because he just looks like a sad teddy bear.
Yeah, I'm not judging a single soul on the Florida mayhem, and I'll just give you one reason why. Tavik was the bus driver. End of conversation. You cannot blame anybody, players, coaches, staff, anybody on the Florida mayhem. You got to give them a pass.
Well, who do you blame then? Tavik? You blame Tavik for volunteering to be the bus driver?
No, I blame the organization. Like that, it's just absurd.
I'm just
Like
saying they
the
are
different
Florida Mayhem.
things that they have done. I don't blame any staff though. All right, so next up, someone I don't know. Spark signed U4 as opposed to U2 as an assistant coach. Now, U4, is that like U2 times 2? Or like what is U4? Who is U4, Mel?
It's the modern version.
Right. She's better than you two because she has 4. Okay. But
It's a she?
yeah,
Badass, really? Okay, so we have more female
am I wrong?
representation. I do not know her. I do not know the gamer you are speaking of.
Do not know thy.
I just learned that recently. You're supposed to call everybody gamers. Keeps you safe. He, she, they, whatever. Everybody's a gamer.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about you four, so I'm not gonna
Nobody?
pretend like I
I
do.
mean,
Chat,
Spark is doing
do you guys
quite
know
good right
anything about
now, and it's just an assistant coach. So it seems like maybe they want some special assistance with certain stuff. I don't think their coaching is really struggling over here. For all I know, they're still in the running to the finals. So, yeah, it
Good
seems
for
like they're
them
just
for getting more
equipping them.
assistants, though. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like more coaches is never bad.
I mean, too many coaches
Yeah.
can be a thing, though.
Okay, fair enough. But as long
Too
as you
many-
have a good structure and a good leader, more coaches is always a benefit.
But an assistant coach could also be a strategy person. Like it's kind of like IT. Everybody names their positions differently, and sometimes it doesn't make any sense. You know, like I'm not even going to get into the IT thing, but like literally every company calls people different things, and they do the same jobs. It's really really dumb. There's no set names, so could be someone coming in as more of an analyst or a coach. We're not really sure, but when we learn more about them, we will definitely talk about it. All right. Next up, Mel, why don't you tell us about the Valiant holding open tryouts?
Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
This is
Yeah.
interesting. This just says we need something, we just don't know what it is or who can bring it to us, basically.
Yeah, they're basically being like, "Hey, come give
We
me your
need help.
resume. Come tell me what you got. Try out for the team." Like, I think it's interesting. It's an
Where are
interesting
their
move.
talent scouts? Did they run out of
Yeah,
ideas or
right?
something?
Like, I feel like they're out there, but maybe it's just like a PR move, right? To get people more excited about the Valiant. Like, they're bringing
Maybe.
people in. But,
Or
like, then again,
maybe-
I feel like you bring them all in and then you don't sign any of them, and they're going to be like, what the heck was that?
Okay, so okay. This just is off the cuff because like I didn't review this article, but if they really are holding open tryouts, I think it's actually smart. Think about Diamond and Masters. Now, nobody from Diamond or Masters gets recruited to an Overwatch team or even a tier 2 team, right? But think of how many mechanical gods are in Diamond and Masters. Now think about
Well,
if you
you
could take
have
that
to
talent.
have-
Let me finish.
Okay, I'm just saying you have to have a peak SR of 4,300 during a
Oh,
season. 16 or
fail. F's in the chat, Valiant. F's in the chat. I thought you were brilliant for a second. Now I just think, okay, so you're
Well,
running
if it
your
was a
own
PR
open
move,
division.
yeah, that maybe
No.
would have been the way to go. But if you're looking
But
for the cream
listen-
of the crop, that's a good filter to start with.
Not though.
Right.
Listen to what I'm like. If they were looking at Diamond and Masters, they could grab mechanical savants that just haven't been coached, that just don't go on YouTube and watch your Overwatch videos. They don't go and try and hone their craft, but that mechanical savant could be unbelievably coachable if you got them in the right setting. So if they were actually trialing Diamond and Masters players, it would be another 5-head situation. But instead, nope, they're just trying to run their own little open division. F's
I don't
in the
know,
chat, Valiant. F's
is
in the
there-
chat.
I feel like if they're mechanical savants, you can climb at least to 4.3. I mean,
No,
to be
no,
speaks to,
definitely
for
not.
example, players like PvPX, the streamer. I don't know if you guys have watched him before, but he is actually
Yeah.
an amazing, super versatile, very competitive, well-rounded, already kind of like in that mindset, kind of mature. And to me, that's the kind of player that might get a chance
But
with
you're
this sort of thing.
but you're talking about game sense heavy players. PvPX is a game sense heavy player. I'm talking about just the guys that can click heads, that are just unbelievably mechanically gifted, that have never really, they've never reached out to anybody for coaching. They've never, you, you
I mean,
like, you
that's
see what I'm
really a
saying?
long-term investment, though.
Yes,
Like,
it
you're looking at
is. It
a
is for
couple
sure.
years before this person's even ready to play. And
I play. How many people have you helped in just your Omnic Lab coaching?
okay,
And you're not helping their mechanics. You're helping their game sense. How many people have you rose through the ranks in just the last couple months?
I don't know. It'd be hard to say. Is that hard to
A
quantify
lot,
that?
though, right?
Because, well, it's been, I don't know, 20 people.
Yeah. And so just imagine if you found yourself a mechanical genius who just had never been coached, who just never knew to save his cooldown for this situation, or to do this, or
right,
to do
but you're
that.
also saying that he doesn't have the initiative to go seek that out either.
True.
So that's
True.
also a character, right? So,
I don't know.
I would
yeah,
say,
I
I
mean,
think that, yeah, you want players who have already kind of like made that hurdle, because if you're into a pro player, into improving yourself already, it's not like the biggest hurdle to do. You can learn all this stuff by yourself and playing the ladder and paying attention and, talking to some people, reviewing your gameplay, all that stuff. It already kind of filters itself. I don't think you have to go dig into diamond. That's a little low.
I
right.
think you.
I just feel
I
like
said Diamond and
you shouldn't
Masters.
reward. I feel like you shouldn't reward somebody who has not done to improve them. Right
What are you
now,
talking about? Reward someone. What are you talking about?
you're going to reward them by allowing them into the Overwatch League.
No! You're going to find yourself a talent to reward you and get your team wins. Like, who cares about rewarding the players? You care about making money. You care about selling tickets. You care about winning games. Like, you know how many jerks are in the Overwatch League? You know how many jerks are in the NFL? Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks, probably a Hall of Famer. One of the biggest jerks in real life. Who cares? He makes you
Right.
money and he wins
disagree.
games.
I disagree. I think
I think
that
you're
there are
wrong.
plenty of talented players that are not in the league.
Here,
right,
hold on,
that
Mel.
are
Hold on. Pause. We want to hear your whole thing. I'm gonna switch Discord servers. You're for some reason breaking up. All right, try and talk now.
Hello?
All right, yeah. You were like basically every other word was muted. So go.
I was just saying, like, I just think that right now you have the cream of the crop. You have so many tier 3, tier 2 players that are really talented and could benefit from some really good coaching as well, that why dig into the unfound talent that hasn't been trying?
I was literally only pointing out mechanical gods. I was
I know.
only pointing out those,
And I'm pointing out that I
you're
disagree
not
with
gonna
you, but that's all.
you're not gonna get those for tanks or support. The people you're gonna recruit for those are going to be already the big brain game sense players. But if you could get those guys that could just click heads and they're coachable like that, that could be something they could tap into.
Let's talk about our games.
All right, let's go ahead and move on in. So we're gonna kind of just this. Okay, so Seoul took on the Titans, and they did what we always see them do. We thought they were gonna be good, and they just weren't. Like they have spikes where they look really good, and then they come up against the Titans and they lose 4-2. It really wasn't super competitive. It really was like Seoul looked good for the first like 3 maps. I mean, really, really good. Fitz was on the Doom, and Marvel was on the Sigma, and they were doing things where they were like setting each other up with the Doom punch and the Sigma accretion. They were doing really good, but it seemed like they got figured out, and then Titans just ran away with it. But do you guys have anything to say about this one? Just another kind of.
I think that they played the meta well. I think that, like you said, Fitz and Fleta were really shining
No,
probably the
Fitz
most.
and Marvel.
Oh,
No, Fitz
I
and
want to
Flutter with
say
the
Fitz and
DPS.
Fleta.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I said Fitz and Marvel because Fitz was playing
Oh.
the Doom and Marvel was playing the Sigma, and they were doing a lot of like wombo combos with each other's cooldowns.
Yeah, they were. But I'm talking about Fitz and Fleta. They were both doing really good on the DPS. Fleta was actually killing it on the Reaper. I was very surprised to see him on it. He was on top of it. Great moves from him. Fitz was a fantastic Doomfist. First time I see him on it, and I think that he was really clicking against the Vancouver Titans. But I think that Soul would sometimes panic in certain moments, and they would really lose sight of what they were trying to do. And several times, Fitz or Fleta would have a big play, but a little bit too late, or it just came like a little bit desynchronized, and the rest of the team was already gone by that point. And more importantly than that, they were having a hard time controlling enemy Doomfists, both for Vancouver Titans and against the Spark. Eventually, the Doomfist of the other team would just get out of hand against them. And I think it weighed down a lot on Toby because a big part of that is your Lucio, right? Trying to what Masa was basically doing with Atlanta Rain, just constantly booping them away, not letting them land that seismic slam, but because the second they land that stuff, it's almost a surefire kill. Once your seismic slam and uppercut, you're basically dead at that level of play.
Yeah, and it seemed like Seoul was doing really good for the first three maps in their game against the Titans, and the last three maps were pretty much just a downhill spiral. And then the next day, or the day, I don't remember if it's the next day or the day after, but when they played Spark, it was ugly. So
To
yeah,
me, it just looked like there was a lot of pressure on them. Like they were not just in the game; they were thinking about the loss. I think too soon, right as like the pressure would amount to them, I think that they started seeing like a little bit blurry, or I don't know, they started getting a little bit shaky, and you could see that in their gameplay and the way they would approach those last few maps. And it's really unfortunate, and you could see it, at the very end when Rio Hong did the interview with Toby. They were both really devastated. Um, and I think that yeah, it was just a lot of pressure on those poor shoulders.
To be honest, I think like let's be fair, Soul has looked really good, right? But they've only been playing as this team for what, a few weeks? Like that was their issue is that they were switching team compositions so frequently, but now they don't have the team synergy that Vancouver does. So they came in strong, right? Because they could come in and play their game and win. But then Vancouver had the team synergy to figure out and communicate and devise a plan to combat that, and Seoul didn't, right? And I think that's the biggest difference. The same thing with the Spark. I think the Spark, they just kind of they were defeated, right? They came close to going, the distance with the Titans and they didn't, and I think it just deflated them and they were done. But
yeah,
I think with the Titans for sure, it was just about team synergy.
yep. But so the next game we got to see was the Gladiators versus the Spark, and the Gladiators won basically on the
You
back of
guys were ready
Surefour.
for gladiators last time, and honestly, I thought that Spark was gonna win this one. I was very surprised that Gladiators took it, and they were looking really, really good.
Not they, Surefour.
No,
You know how
they were
many?
all looking good.
You know how many like 4K and 5Ks Surefour had as Reaper? It was out of this world. Like if you guys
It
want to
did pop
know
off.
Reaper,
They did.
like watch Surefour. Surefour is an amazing Reaper. I mean, the rest of them play it well, but Surefour just, I mean, carries fights. Sometimes it would be a 2v4 and Surefour comes and kills the 4. I mean, it's just, it was out of this world. Like,
To
he
be fair,
basically
though,
carried that game.
yes, but to be fair, I think that I will give it to Spark because Spark won the first game, but then Gladiators won the next 3 maps, right?
The first map.
Yeah, the first map. And then Gladiators won the next 3 maps. And so Gladiators are on a match point, and Spark is able to rally
And bring it
and
back
win
3-3.
2 maps in
Yeah.
a row, right?
That's what I
So
say. There's
now
a lot
it's
of good games.
match point for both of them. And I think that that's huge to show that kind of ability to rally and to stay with it when you feel like you've been defeated. Like you win 1 and then you lose 3. Most teams give up, right? But Sparks showed that they had that kind of like oomph to keep it going. They couldn't close it out, but they did their best. So
It was a very close game, to be honest.
yeah,
Like at this point, a lot of the teams that are remaining still in the tournament, I feel like any of them could win it. All the games are so close and they're like rock, paper, scissors. Like one team will defeat
for
one,
sure.
but the other one like defeat the other one and they defeat each other. It's like, I don't know who's gonna win. It's so close at this point.
Dude, it was a really good game. That's definitely, if you're gonna go back and watch any of the games, that's definitely one we recommend. But
But not the top one that we recommend.
nope. We're almost to that. But first, we have to talk about the reemergence of the NYXL, and we're not going to talk about. We're only going to talk about their first game because we want to talk about the Reign next, and then the NYXL's next game comes into that. So let's just talk about NYXL versus the Scrimbucks champions, the London Spitfire. London Spitfire
Yeah.
looked good, but NYXL wins 4-1. What happened, iPlay?
I think that NYXL are finally in a meta that they like. I think that Sabiobi finally is in a hero where he can play to the style that he likes playing. Be that carry hero, be that sneaky, really well aimed, very I don't know, he's just so snappy like he was with his tracer. Another guy who is very precise and likes playing up close and he plays really, really fast. One of the fastest players that I've seen so far, just in like the style that he plays, and that's where he likes being. So I think that a lot of Tracer players are finding a home in Reaper and feeling really comfortable. Like you look at
It's
Striker with Shock, for example.
it's kind of similar, but having played both characters quite a bit, it is very similar. Whereas you're trying to be right there, like basically shooting at their neck and be right in front of them is your best bet. But I didn't even think about Sabiobi on Reaper, and it was definitely like if I'm thinking about the second choice for Reaper after Surefour, I'm thinking SBB.
Yeah, he is looking really good. Their Doomfist is also looking really good, and I think that Jonak going to the Moira, it's an easy transition for him, right? It's not like going into Anna or Baptiste, where it requires some heavy training and stuff. Now, um, he's going into Moira, which I think it's a more reliable hero to play in this meta. You can still output a lot of healing, and a guy like Jonak will have no problem playing that hero. So I think that the way that the roster came together in this meta just works really well. And man, they're a scary team right now, as we will talk about later.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
NYXL. Like, I mean, choking in the playoffs is always their MO. But boy, they didn't choke in this game. And a lot of people going into this week touted London as being amazing. But we
Hey.
need to talk. Oh, sorry. What? Oh, sorry, I didn't give you a chance to talk about NYXL. Go ahead.
Thank you.
My bad. My bad.
I was just gonna say, I think that NYXL came into this match more prepared than I've ever seen NYXL come into a match. Like,
That is a
they
good
had
point.
set strats, they had things that they were doing. They freaking brought out the Bastion and then like dominated the first map and then switched to the May. I think I don't know if it was the second map or the third map, but they switched to the May, and London was all like, "All right, we're gonna dive in on the Bastion," but then May's there and just walls them off and kills everybody. Like, it was just like NYXL was playing 3 steps ahead of London, and I think that a lot of this is London being so exposed during the play-ins and NYXL's coaches doing an unbelievable job of scouting that. I mean, London basically showed you every single map on how they play in this meta during the play-ins.
Yeah,
And
big
NYXL's
disadvantage there.
coaches took advantage of
And
that.
well, and you have to like think about the coaches. The coaching staff is who I've given the least credit to for NYXL from the start because they've never adapted to a new meta, a new character fast at all. They were
Right?
amazing at dive stages 1 through 3 in Overwatch League Season 1, but then they've never adapted since, ever. And so for them to come in like this was pretty extraordinary, especially against a team that everybody toted was going to be really good.
I think it was stages 2 and 3. Pretty sure stage 1 was the Junkrat meta because that's the only one that the Outlaws made the playoffs.
It was
Stage
still
playoffs.
dive though. It was like, yeah, but like
Junkrat
most
is
people,
not equal dive.
yeah, well, Sabiobi was playing Tracer and there was a Genji in Libero, and most people were playing dive. Houston was one of the few people playing junk. Dallas
Okay.
was playing some junk with Siegel, but like most people weren't playing junk. All right. Now we can move on to possibly the best game in Overwatch history. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get ready to talk about the raid. iPlay, tell us what happened in Shock versus the raid.
Yeah, this match was just insane. Just so tight. I think that both teams were playing out of their minds and they were feeding off of each other. Like the more than one team tried to push, the more the other one pushed back. And it was just such an aggressive play style from both teams, just getting in each other's faces and tons of plays from all the players, honestly. They were just like Sinatra making plays, Baby Bay making plays, and Striker would come in. Then like Gator would like come in. Then like I don't know, Dogman would do something, and Masa would get like a triple boop. Then Moth would get like his own
Dude,
triple boop. It was like
Moss's triple boop after his single boop was probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I totally
That was
thought
Moth.
about
Right?
Moth. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, in Rialto,
Moth.
the
Yeah,
first one
Moth
Yeah.
was out of this world. I thought about Scarm when that happened because he went up, he booped 1 off. Then he like regroups and comes back up and boops 3 off after a Risen user cooldown. I mean, it was
it's just what I'm
a sight
saying.
to
It
be
was just
seen.
like
Andres is like, that was not the highlight of the game for me.
Yeah, Shock had great highlights too, though. You know what I mean? Like,
no, but like
it was
the
back and
highlight was
forth.
that he got the quadruple boop, and then we came right after that, and we like wiped him again. Like Masa got a like a huge play in there too. So it was like that's what I'm saying. It was very back and forth. Like you couldn't even say which team was playing better because plays were just being made on both sides. Both teams were capitalizing. Honestly, a lot of the fights would come down to like who would make the slightest mistake, like, oh, you missed the 2 bullets, we won this encounter kind of thing. Oh, you
Well, it
didn't
literally went,
appreciate sorry,
yeah,
say what did you say?
No, I was saying it literally went every other map, right?
That was
It
Mhm.
something
was
that I
like
was just going to point
Atlanta,
out.
Atlanta won, chose the next map, or Atlanta won, Shock chose the next map, Shock won. Atlanta chose the next map, Atlanta won. Shock chose the next map, Shock won. And like I think that was like crazy. So Atlanta was grateful that they won the first map because if it would have been opposite, maybe Shock would have won, right?
Yeah, it was like, so Mel makes us a nice little she makes us great show notes that give us she does color coding for the map wins. And so I'm not used to seeing a just straight color, 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 other color, color, other color, color, other color, color. I mean, I'm not used to seeing that design because that usually doesn't happen. Usually teams go on a roll, like usually there's two or three maps won before another team gets it back together. But this literally was a knockdown, drag out fight between these two teams. And I believe they're the two best teams in the league right now, even though we have other games to talk about. But I truly believe, playing at the top of their game, these guys are it. And this is the game that they planned for. So I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, the spirits didn't last for too long as we were defeated on Sunday by New York Excelsior. And I think that compared to our fight on Friday, the Sunday one was very sloppy. In that one, you could actually see a lot of mistakes, particularly with ultimate usage. We saw a lot of ultimates that were kind of wasted a little bit. A few graviton like symphony things with Sigma. Some Masa ults just kind of came in at the wrong time as well on a few of the maps. And it was a match that we lost barely. I think that in a lot of the maps we were just like inches away from winning the map as well. But like those mistakes that we did in that map did added up to a
Well,
critical mass.
okay, you did, before we move on to that game, you did talk about messed up Sigma ults, but a Sigma ult won Rialto. It was a Sigma 9 for you guys to beat Shock. Sigma
Yeah.
9 is where Sigma pulls everybody off the point, and it's a C9 Sigma 9.
No, like in that game we had some amazing ults in general, but fast forward into the New York Excelsior game, Gator actually missed a few of those, like where he got no one. It
Yep.
was just pull, and I was like, no one is there. And sometimes it's not the end of the world, but when you're playing at that level and the other team is not making those mistakes and they are capitalizing on every one of their ultimates, then
Well,
the balance does start shifting a little bit,
you have
not in
to
your
think
favor.
though. NYXL was chomping at the bit for a little bit of revenge after you guys beat them
Oh
two
yeah.
weeks in a row.
They've been waiting for this moment.
Yeah,
The
but
last thing I want to say too about Atlanta, and it's something that we have to fix if we're gonna win the finals. Although I guess there's two paths. There's a few maps that we're just terrible at, and they're glaring weaknesses. And I think the rest of the league has already taken a note of this. If you look at the maps that both San Francisco Shock and New York played us, and the maps that they chose to play us in, we have Numbani, we have Watchpoint Gibraltar, and we have Kings Row. They know that payloads and kind of like that hybrid style map is the bane of our existence. Atlanta is a brawly team. Atlanta
yep,
likes mayhem and they like playing aggressive and getting in people's
Atlanta
faces.
is season two's fusion.
And in those maps, it's a little bit, it's not brawly, right? It's more organized. It's more about your initial encounter and the way that you sort of break into the fight and that cooldown management sort of thing. And we don't like the cooldown management that well. Dogman basically does coalescence the second that he gets on a line, which is usually like 20 seconds after a fight breaks loose, which works really well in the aggressive playstyle, right? But
Would you
not as
call
well
him
in the more
incompetent?
methodical maps. No, I love his aggressiveness. Like it is the reason why we win. So either we pick up the slack on those maps, or we really have to double down on the brawly maps and be like,
Yep.
this is our play
You
style, and we're gonna
guys,
win these and lose the other ones.
you guys basically took the Philadelphia Fusion spot. Like season 2, Atlanta has been the Fusion of last year. Like the guys that just take the like if you're going up against them on a King of the Hill map to end the game, you're losing because they are a brawling team, and I like those type of teams. That's why
They're
you
fun to
see I
watch. I
have
mean, they're so
Fuel,
aggressive.
Philly, Atlanta, Fuel. So I have 3 teams. Fuel's my first, but Fusion and Atlanta definitely are. I'm definitely a fan. But okay, so
I
let's.
will say, I think it's interesting that Busan was picked first in 7 out of the 8 matches. Right? Like, Busan's a fairly new map.
Busan is our map, and it's a fun map to watch. It's a very brawly map, and it was unfortunate that we lost it against New York Excelsior because it was really close, and we actually lost it on the third map when we missed Gator's ultimate, and then Masa fat finger his or I don't know if he fat fingered it, but
Did
he
he pull a
used it after
Custa?
Poorly
the
timed.
battle. Yeah, very poorly timed. After the battle was won, there was no need, no pressure, and sure enough, next battle they come with their own Sigma ultimate, and
Mhm.
we were kind of cut naked. So some glaring mistakes in that map that we
Nobody
didn't
likes
win,
that.
that we should have won. That is our brawling map. That's what I'm saying. We can't lose the maps that we're good at because the maps that we're bad at we're like really bad at.
Yeah. Well, I still think Atlanta Rand and Shock are the 2 best teams in the playoffs. So you still have a chance because
Oh, I think so. I think we still have a chance. All of the teams are still remain. Vancouver,
no, not all of the
Excelsior.
teams.
Okay, hold on. Let's talk, though. We didn't talk about Gladiators Titans yet. We're
Okay,
still in
go.
the winner's bracket. So we have Gladiators Titans. Titans beat the Gladiators 4-2. And it was pretty much every other until the end, and then Titans took an extra map, right? So I don't know. I mean, I think Gladiators won 2 of the maps that they won in their first game. They also lost on Anubis, and they won that in their last game. So maybe that was their kind of catalyst, kind of like Atlanta should have won on Busan, Gladiators should have won on Anubis. But they both look strong. I don't have like too many highlights from this game. I just thought we'd.
Yeah, it like the Titans really are looking like Titans as far as the winner bracket goes. Like I just I'm amazed by them because they did struggle quite a bit at the start of well, not the very start, but like week 2, week 3 of stage 4, they had some major struggles. But they still just come back. It goes back to what said about them just being a cohesive team and being able to play as a team and not having someone like basically the Gladiators when they played Spark. Surefour was carrying. You can't do that every game because they're just going to be like, let's take out Surefour and then we're good. You know what I mean? So the fact that they could play as a team really helps them quite a bit, and so they were
And
able to beat the
and
freaking Gladiators.
and yeah, it's what you're saying. Like they got away with it against the Spark, but honestly, when you're going up against teams like Vancouver, when you're gonna go against teams like Shock or Atlanta, where it's not just one guy, it's not like just the Reaper guy who's making the plays, but like everyone is making like the big plays. Your team has to rise to the occasion, right? Like, you can't just
Yep,
rely on one dude. And I think that that's kind of what costed him against Vancouver because now everyone has to match that level, right?
yep,
I think if you notice with Vancouver, like Vancouver tends to figure it out, right? And I think, like Bob was saying, that does go to their teamwork because same thing happened with Seoul, where they let them win 2 maps and then they figured them out. and they took it away, right? They
Yep.
did the same thing with the Gladiators. They let them win a couple maps. But I think Vancouver's much better at adapting on the fly than most teams are, right? And maybe that's because they've been working so long together. Maybe that's because their coaching is focused more on situational things instead of like, here's your strat, do this. Because I feel like a lot of teams go in with a set strat, and when it doesn't work, they got nothing.
Yeah, well,
right?
there's
So then
no
they're
coach on the field to help them change mid match, and then the coach at halftime's not going to tell them a whole new game plan. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
So I feel like the coaches of Vancouver have coached the Vancouver Titans into being able to make those effective decisions. And I could be wrong. It could just be that they've got some
Guys.
brainiac on the team.
we're talking about the Titans, and I can't believe this. We've went this long. We've talked a few games of them. We didn't even mention. There was
they
no
said bumper?
Yeah, there was no bumper on the field the entire weekend.
It did make
But
me a little sad.
That's been a common occurrence. The Reinhardt player is not always the Orisa player. I think that Atlanta is sort of an anomaly that Pokpo was able to transition to Orisa so well. But even in Shock, Super was out.
I was just about to say, do you think Super and Bumper were like sitting at
Dude.
at the guild hall with their two
Hugging each
beers,
other.
hugging each other, just be like, we were so good, goats. We were so good, man.
They're like, we
Bro.
got
I
him
love
here,
you, dude.
damn it.
I love you
To be
too,
hon-
man.
And to be honest, they did play Super on the last map of their game against Spitfire. And
Okay.
it did not look good. It was like it was the only map that they almost lost.
Oh, poor
And they
Super.
still won.
They still won it though.
Yeah.
Poor Super. Super,
no,
we
let's-
love you here at Owl Recap. You should come on the show.
Let's talk about that though. Shock beat Spitfire 4-0. Like, not even.
Yeah, that was the last day.
Contested.
That was the losers bracket. So the losers bracket was Spark versus Soul and Spitfire versus Shock. Shock loses 4-0. Or Shock wins 4-0, sorry.
Yeah, eliminating Spitfire. Like, Spitfire didn't even contest it. Like, I feel like Spitfire was defeated after losing so bad to NYXL, but literally Spitfire went in and won one map in 2 games.
Yeah.
Scrimbucks,
Spitfire,
guys.
man.
Scrimbucks don't mean much.
I thought that maybe they were gonna like unleash their true genius finally, but no.
Right.
They were more like the kid that didn't study for the final and then actually did really bad as everyone was expecting.
Don't know
Right? They got to the
much,
final and it was
but I know
cumulative and they
Scrimbucks
only
don't
studied
mean
chapter
shit.
4, right? Like, it was real bad. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
they got destroyed.
let's be real though, like, it's good for the league that Spitfire does not win another championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need somebody else. We need a new fresh face
Right.
in here.
Well, and then Spark beat, like, the losers bracket was kind of weak. Like, Spark beat Soul 4-1. And, I mean, Soul looking so strong in the freaking play-ins really just...
So did London though. Like, how deceiving is that though? Like, you've got the 7th and 8th team going against the 9th through 12th teams, right? Like, and yes, there's a lot to play for, but to be honest, I feel like they should limit the play-ins to 4 teams instead of 6. Because I feel like there's just too much of a gap. And they looked good, but they looked good against people
But-
that would not have looked good.
You, me, iPlay,
I know.
every other analyst talked about how the 2-2 meta had shifted, and like whoever came out of the play-ins were going to be monsters. But what we actually have had is the Spark and Soul come out, and Spark almost got
Soul and Spitfire.
Sorry. Yeah, Soul and Spitfire came out of it, and they're the
And they're both
only
eliminated.
two to be eliminated so far. So
But then
we were all
I think-
wrong. Everybody was
I think
wrong.
it's-
Yeska, you
it's
were
like a-
wrong.
It's a good process of elimination though, because then you give those teams their last shot, right? Like, hey, you guys are doing pretty bad in the standings, but this is your last shot to prove yourself against the big dogs that you can contest. And they
But
didn't. So it's like, okay,
our whole
even more
point.
legitimate champion.
But like our whole point was that like because the 222 changed everything so much, all these teams were so powerful, but it turns out we were all content creators across the globe. We were all wrong. Feels
I mean, I don't know.
feels good to
I
be
also
wrong though. Sometimes it's exciting.
I also feel like there's a disadvantage to being in the play-ins, right? Like the Spitfire and the Soul showed all their strats because they were
Show
fighting
your
for their
cards.
lives. They
Yeah.
couldn't
Yep.
hold back. They couldn't try to cover up different strategies that they had. They had to put it all in, and they did. But then that whole week they were preparing for that and then playing. The other teams were preparing, then watching them, and then preparing for them.
True.
Right?
True.
So like you have good coaches, and there's no way you should lose a match against Soul and Spitfire, right? You shouldn't. If your team is good enough to be in the playoffs and you have analyzed those games, you should not lose. But that I think just makes it a bigger triumph to make it to the actual playoffs instead of the play-ins, right? You're not at that disadvantage. You don't have to show your cards. It's like having a bye week.
True. True.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, all in all, though, I love the double elimination. It's been exciting. I think it is what we should have had last year, and I think it is definitely a plus to the league. And thank you so much.
Can I talk really fast?
Shock versus Atlanta rematch eventually.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Mel, you could talk about whatever you would like to.
I don't know if you're going to say this, but I just wanted to talk about the games that are coming up next week. So we have NYXL versus Titans in the winners bracket. So whoever wins that one goes to the finals for
Mhm.
sure. Then we have Rain versus Spark and Gladiators versus Shock. So Rain versus Spark and Gladiators versus Shock, they'll play. The winners of those games will play each other. And then the winner of that game will play whoever lost the NYXL Titans game to determine who goes to the finals.
At this point, the loser bracket looks so scary. You don't want to be in the loser bracket,
Right?
basically, at this point.
It was like Shock got put down to the losers bracket and Atlanta got pushed down to the losers bracket. It was like, what is happening right now?
You know
we're
what's
like
great?
in the end step right now.
Can we all say that nobody had Shock and Atlanta in the losers bracket? I don't think anybody did.
No, I don't
Right?
think we did.
I don't think anybody
I don't
had
think anybody
Shock in the losers bracket.
I don't think anybody thought Atlanta was gonna beat Shock.
We talked about it.
me.
Right.
Yeah, I said that I was going to be like rooting for Atlanta, but I thought Shock was going to take it. And when Atlanta took
Yeah.
it, I was on cloud nine. I mean, it's just super excited. But
So we have another good week of Overwatch playoffs coming to us.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very exciting week. I can't wait. These games are gonna be super, super cool. And oh man, I'm just kind of nervous for Atlanta. I'll be at Battle and Brew again, and I'm sure we're gonna break something this time around.
and I want to remind you guys of something. When we guested on Realm Maintenance at the start of this year, everybody called their teams that were going to win the actual grand finals.
What did I
And-
say? Houston?
No, Mel and I conceded to NYXL, I think. We'll get to hear it when Ro puts out the.
No way.
I'm pretty sure you and I reluctantly did NYXL, but iPlay actually stuck with Atlanta.
That's not like I play.
Yeah.
I did.
Are you sure? Did it take it 10 minutes to decide on Atlanta?
but
It
it
was
wasn't
like,
We
that.
will
he's like, well, I
know.
think Atlanta and New York and Shock, I think they'll all be really good.
He did
But I
do
went with
that,
Atlanta.
but then he finally said Atlanta when we made him. And
Push
we'll
window
know for
corner.
sure what we said when
Like,
Ro
good
puts it
Atlanta.
out in December. So we'll
Oh, God.
finally find out. But I thought that was kind of funny because it looks like it could be an NYXL Atlanta showdown. So
That'd be awesome.
let's
Well, if I
here's
chose
to hoping.
NYXL, sorry, I play. I'm going to have to root against you. just for my pride.
All right, well, Ro will definitely be happy about that. But, guys, we are going to close out the show. I encourage you guys to follow us on Twitter at AlRecap. I encourage you, if you want to send something a little bit longer that you can't tweet, send it to contact@alrecap.com. We stream normally Monday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain, 9 p.m. Central on twitch.tv/AlRecap. And if you want to check out the live show, you can check it out uncut on YouTube at youtube.com/AlRecap. We are always on most podcatchers, especially iTunes. If you want to help us out, leave us an iTunes review. We haven't gotten a review this week, but we're hoping for next week. So help us out. And if you want to support us even further, patreon.com/AlRecap. We're still trying to rework that. We want some ideas for you guys. We just don't really know what to do for perks.
Next season, guys.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
we're gonna do a new intro for next season, a new Patreon. But we're still gonna be doing cool stuff in the off season, so definitely check that out. Especially the first episode right after the finals. You should check that out. It's gonna be something that you're not expecting. I guarantee you're not expecting this episode. So definitely tune in for that.
Too. High five to Shaz for the 1,000 bits and for being a Diamond patron.
Yes.
Or producer.
For being our Al Recap producer. And Shaz, I've done a really good job of learning how to actually say your name and not stutter on it every single time. So I hope you have noticed that over this last year. And with that being said, game night. iPlay. Tell us about game night. It's gonna be on the 27th of this month.
It's going to be happening on the 27th. Make sure that you guys are there. Last game night was super fun. I got my ass whooped by a couple of Doomfists, and it has encouraged me to start learning Doomfist myself. I'm still kind of halfway there, not quite good, but at least I'm getting my movement down. I'm beginning to able to get
Not quite good.
one-shot combos here and there, but it's a work in progress. Thank you, Game Night, for encouraging me. So yeah, I'll see you guys next game night. I'll be punching you.
Yeah.
Do you want some coaching? I can give you some coaching on Doomfist.
Coaching on Doom.
I'm
Please,
like a
I need
GM.
some desperately.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I don't know that Mel and I will be at the game night because I believe we're either in Stockholm or London at that time. If we're in London, though, we'll make sure Eddie the Chump, who's going to show us around town, Eddie the Chump from your Overwatch, we'll make sure that he gets in game night. So
We're in London.
we are?
Mm-hmm.
Eddie's coming to game night.
Probably not.
At least say hi to him for me.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. Oh,
You can find me at MelOverwatch
I'm not
on Twitter.
done.
You said that's going to do it. I thought you were kicking us off.
This has been an amazing playoff so far, and we are excited about the end of it. We'll see you next week. Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me at MelOverwatch on Twitter.
And iPlaygames, where can we find you?
You can find me at iPlaygames at iPlaygames.
And you can always find me, BlazzinBob, at BLAZZIN_BOB. That's going to be it. We've been us. You've been you. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.